episode 10 of my 16-part series where each episode I'll go over one of the NHL teams that made the 2021-2022 NHL playoffs. The team that I'll be talking about today are the LA Kings. The LA Kings finished 14th in the league with 44 wins, 27 losses, and 11 overtime losses. The Kings are a team with quite a bit of playoff experience. They won the Cup in 2014 or 2013, I'm not too sure on that one, and they've kept sort of the core guys since then, with a few new additions, such as Adrian Kemp and Brendan Lemieux. Adrian Kemp has put up an impressive season this year. He's a second top point getter on the team with 54 points in 78 games. He has 35 goals and 19 assists. But the one thing he doesn't have going into the playoffs is playoff experience. But I think that the veteran players like Anze Kopitar, Dustin Brown, or Drew Doughty could give him a little bit of help on that and a little bit of advice so he can see success in the postseason like he has in the regular season. Lemieux, the other addition that I talked about, he's a great guy to have on your team, but you don't want to play against him. He's one of those guys like Brad Marchand where they're specialists in pissing off other players and trying to make them take a penalty or rattle their game. A strength that they have going into the offseason is obviously their playoff experience, but their goaltender. Jonathan Quick was part of that core group back in 2014 or 13 whenever they won the Cup and has almost played every season since then. Although he hasn't had the success that he wanted in the regular season this year, I think going into the playoffs, he's regularly a strong goalie in the playoffs. He bailed his team out a few times back in their Cup run in 2013, 2014, and I'd like to believe that he'll do it again this playoffs. He's going up against the best player in the world, Connor McDavid, best player in my opinion. So his team will have to help him, but he'll also have to stand on his head a bit because it's pretty hard defensively to shut down a player as fast as McDavid. I think that their main weakness going into this playoff series against the Oilers is the Oilers are a very fast team with McDavid, obviously, Evander Kane, who is one of the only players in the league who can keep up with McDavid, and Zach Hyman. The LA Kings, they're a slower, older team, right? So it'll be interesting to see what they do to shut down McDavid and Evander Kane. I think that they'll probably put out Brendan Lemieux just to mess with McDavid. Mind you, a player of that talent knows he's been through this his whole life. He knows that everyone's just trying to rattle him and get him off his game. I don't think it'll work. I think it'll just come down to playing structurally in the defensive zone and not falling for any of those fancy moves McDavid does. Another thing I think that the Kings have going for them really well is seeing that Mike Smith and Mikko Koskinen are the two goalies on the Edmonton Oilers. So they're both not having a very good season, right? Like, the fans blame them. There's a lot of pressure on them. Confidence is low, it seems like. So, yeah, just throw everything. If they throw everything on net, something's going to go in. And if their goalie's not stopping pucks, and usually in hockey, when your goalie's not playing well, it brings down the team's morale, and there's not really motivation to play because, well, hey, I'm going to go score 2 goals, they're going to go score 4 goals, right? Like, you can't win games if your goalie's not stopping the puck. Anyways, that's my take on the LA Kings going into the postseason. Thanks for listening.